President Trump is doing everything we elected him to do. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in the state of Florida and you need roof replacement or repair, residential or commercial, and a job of any size, Tom Laporta can help online at laportaroofing.com. Okay, so the media have been trying to get this narrative going for a while, and they really went hardcore with it over the weekend with some fake polls. But they're trying to get this false narrative going, because that's basically all the media do, right? Try to get false narratives going that Trump voters regret their vote. Trump voters regret their vote. That's just nonsense. That's a 100% completely false narrative. First of all, what President Trump went through the past 4 years, which the media completely ignore. They shot him. They tried to shoot him again. The Iranian hit squads, the outrageous arrest, the break-in of Mar-a-Lago, the list goes on. I'm not going to go through the whole, you guys know. And through it all, we stood by him, and he came back for this glorious return of a second and non-consecutive term. And, you know, there's a little video that they never show you in the media. You can find this online. The media don't want you to see this. After the Never-Trumpers shot President Trump in Butler, they took him to the hospital emergency room, and there was a lady in the emergency room with her cell phone, and she got the video of him, and they were crying. Oh my God, they shot. You've seen that video? They don't show you that in the media because they hate Trump. They don't want any sympathy for Trump, and they convince themselves of things. But President Trump is doing everything he was elected to do, and they've done something at the White House today that is beautiful. I'm going to read this from ABC News. Now, ABC News hates President Trump. Okay, and they came out with that fake news poll that President Trump has the lowest approval rating in the last 80 years. First off, this story that they only have that he has the lowest approval rating in 80 years, coming back for a second term that's non-consecutive, totally debunks that. But anyway, let me get to this story. Here's the headline: Trump hating ABC News. White House displays 100 posters of alleged criminal migrants. Alleged? No, they're criminals. First off, they're here illegally. They're criminals just based on that. Posters displaying individuals the administration claims are unauthorized migrants who've been arrested for committing crimes are being displayed on the White House driveway today. This morning, images of the worst criminal illegal immigrants arrested since President Donald J. Trump took office were placed on the lawn of the White House for the world to see, highlighting the Trump administration's unprecedented effort to secure our homeland and send these vicious criminals back to where they belong, the White House said in a statement. Okay, so, I mean, and this is real outside the box kind of thinking, the kind of thing you never see or would even think of. And, you know, that's President Trump's success from when he was starting out in Manhattan, leaving his dad's Trump organization in Queens and moving into Manhattan. President Trump is a media marketing genius. He created the Trump brand. You know, I remember when I was in high school, or maybe just out of high school. So this is sometime between like 88 and 90. There used to be a store at the malls called Sharper Image. Any of you remember Sharper Image? Sharper Image was, it was a pretty cool store. It was really a cool store. They had all this high-tech electronic stuff. Now, high-tech for the 80s, the late 80s. Like, I remember they had this really cool device that was very expensive where you could actually transfer your cassette tapes to a compact disc. Could you imagine? And this is like 80, sometime between 88 and 90. And it was like $400 or $500. And, it's crazy, isn't it? Right. It was a really cool store, the Sharper Image. But I was in the Sharper Image. Every time I'd go to the mall, they had one at one of the malls in Fort Lauderdale called the Galleria Mall in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And this mall was like, it's like 1 mile from Fort Lauderdale Beach. And my friends and I, because back in the 80s, all of us, high school kids, middle school kids, you hung out at the mall. So we were hanging out at the mall, and anytime we'd hang out at the mall, we would go to the Sharper Image because they had all this cool tech that you could play with. And I remember they were selling Trump steaks. which I thought was kind of strange because it was an electronics place. And they had a box. It was a big box, too, of Trump steaks. And it was about the size of a box that you would buy a guitar in. Like if you put a guitar case, it was like the size of a guitar case box. And it had Trump there, and it was $400. Now, I wish I would have bought it. $400. I didn't have $400 at that time. I was in 88 to 90. I graduated high school in 89. So I didn't have $400. And $400 in, between 88 and 90, whichever year this was, that was a lot more than $400. But that box alone, what would that guitar case box for Trump steaks be worth today? Just the empty box. Oh my goodness, probably thousands of dollars. Not that I would sell it, but what a great artifact that would be to have. And I thought at the time, I was like, that's crazy. I knew who Donald Trump was. He'd been on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I'm like, that's crazy. It was so strange at the time because he was famous, but I was like, wow, that's interesting. But he knows how to market and create a brand and get media messaging out there. In 2015, his brilliance with media manipulation, trolling the media, it's called today, and marketing, he used through Twitter, and he walked right into the presidency in 2015. In fact, Van Jones was doing analysis about President Trump and Twitter. This was during the first campaign. And he said, this was Van Jones, right? Big time Democrat. He said, Donald Trump knows how to use Twitter for his presidential campaign and advantage in the same way that President Kennedy knew how to use television in 1960, because Kennedy was the first television president. He knew how to use TV. Nobody else did, right? President Trump knew how to use social media, Twitter in particular, in 2015 all the way to victory. So he's a media marketing genius. And this putting these signs up at the White House around the driveway is just a beautiful thing. So let me play a couple clips. This is someone from the White House speaking to Fox and Friends today. Listen about these posters.
Well, look, the mainstream media.
All right, hold on. I hit the right button. Here we go.
Well, look, the mainstream media, as you know, Brian, doesn't want to cover this story. What we've done is get violent criminals.
By the way, this is the Deputy White House Chief of Staff. His name's James Blair, and he's talking to Brian Kilmeade.
And other lowlifes on the street. It's literally a murderer's row here on the lawn of the White House. And these are people that we've taken out of the country since we came into office. Last month, we had the lowest border crossings on record. And that's a result of not new legislation, as Biden said we would need, but just a new president getting the job done. We've reunited over 5,000 children with their families or a safe guardian since we came into office. We're cleaning up our communities. We're getting rid of all these guys. I mean, look at these. These are all heinous crimes. These are violent crimes. That would be a Law and Order episode. And we have to get all of them out of the country.
So, yeah, and they're really messaging this. And it's so appropriate because we have very violent, murdering and other offenses, criminals all over this country. Here's Pam Bondi out in front of the signs at the White House talking to Kill Me Too.
America is safer tonight thanks to Donald Trump. Last night, Brian, what they did, to back up, during the Biden administration, they received 170 911 calls to that club alone. That club we were just watching, 170 calls. Wouldn't you think that would have been a red flag? Nothing happened. Guns, shootings, ag batteries, nothing happened. So under Donald Trump, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, ATF, ICE, everyone went in together. DEA led this investigation, went in, got 115 illegal.
By the way, she's talking about that big illegal roundup at a nightclub in Colorado. They got over 100 illegals.
Immigrants, aliens in our country, arrested them. 2 with warrants, 12 guns seized. So what would happen in this club is you would go in, security would give you a menu of drugs.
Wow.
Cocaine, there's something new called pink cocaine, meth. You could go in a bathroom stall, get that. There was prostitution. All these things going on. And we just now identified a member of Sinaloa cartel was also in there.
So I mean, our country has been invaded by very violent criminals. And the Democrats, see, we don't want the Democrats to figure this out because we don't want them to win elections. But these Democrats are defending wife beaters, terrorist members, these kind of people. You could not be more wrong than the Democrats are right now. And there was a big bust of about 800 illegals in Florida over the weekend. This in Colorado. It's going on nationwide. And I know there's 20 million here and 800 there, 1,000 there, and a few thousand here. It's hard to get to that 20 million number. However, what President Trump is doing through his marketing media genius is waking the American people up that aren't woken up as to how bad this problem is and who these people are. They're not sympathetic, and that's why, this team that President Trump put together are a team of people like Pam Bondi, the people from Fox that he's brought over, these are like Hegseth and others. These are people that are seasoned media professionals who not only know how to do their jobs very well for the departments they run, but they also know how to make the case for what they're doing on television in an effective way. So really early today, there was a White House press briefing with Carolyn Levitt, and then Tom Holman came in and took over. Listen.
And if I can also answer your question, as far as the judges, look, we just arrested a judge, Pam Bondi, for impeding ICE enforcement removals. I said from day one, you don't have to support ICE's operations. You can support sanctuary cities if that's what you desire to do. Sanctuary cities can stand aside and watch ICE keep their communities safe. Because any public official, whether you're mayor, city councilman, or governor, their number one responsibility is protection of communities. And ICE has been clear, we're targeting public safety threats and national security threats.
That's right.
I can't believe there's any elected official, and especially a judge, that doesn't believe we should be doing that, and they should be helping us. But I said from day one, you can sit aside and watch, you can argue against us all you want and protest all you want, but when you cross that line, and I've said this 1,000 times, when you cross that line to impediment or knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien from ICE, you will be prosecuted.
Yeah. He's talking, this, both of these judges that were arrested last week, the one in New Mexico is just some strange freak show of stuff. But this one in Wisconsin, she lied to federal agents. She took this very violent illegal who had beat up a woman with a closed fist, choked a man. He was in her courtroom on a domestic abuse charge. And the victims were there. I wonder how this judge would have ruled in that case. Oh, boy. And when the feds showed up, not only did she lie and distract, she took the violent illegal that the feds were after into her chambers with his lawyer and gave them an escape route through her private entrance. You can't harbor and help federal fugitives escape. And that's a very important arrest of that sanctuary judge. All right, back to Tom Holman.
Judge or not. And as far as releasing so many people, you know why the Biden administration released millions of people in the United States? No one ever talks about it. I'll talk about it. Why did they release people into the interior of the United States and put them, rather than put them into an ice bed? Why not put them in an empty ice bed at $127 a night rather than in a hotel room at $500 a night? They did it on purpose. Because when you put them in an ice detention bed, they get a hearing in 35 days.
Yep.
Court records show 9 out of 10 people claim asylum, get order removal, they're gone. But if you release them and put them in a hotel room at $500 a night, their hearings can be 5, 7, 9 years if you pull out all appeals. And what are they hoping for then? That another Democrat administration is in power. They can award an amnesty to millions. This is about selling this country off for future political power. That's what it was. The law clearly says if you arrive at our border without proper documentation, you shall be detained. Not maybe, not think about it, shall. And that's what President Trump's doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just the invading criminals that are here. The Democrat Party is the enemy within. And I hate to say that, but it's true. They are giving aid, comfort, facilitating this. There are Americans dead. I don't even know how many over the last 4 years because they had this completely open border and they're still fighting to keep more of them here. And I wonder if these sanctuary mayors and other sanctuary public officials that have been misusing their office and illegally giving aid and comfort to illegals and sheltering them and hiding them and all, are any of them scared? And I would say, because of these arrests, I would say most of them probably are not. They are so brainwashed on their own garbage that they actually believe that they are heroes. Okay, like when this judge, the analogy I was using on the morning show with the judge that helped that illegal that beat people up and everything escape, she thinks that she was leading Anne Frank from the Nazis. That's how she actually, these are sick, true believing, radical revolutionary people. These Democrats, like this judge, like some of these mayors, like Wu in Boston, they are radical revolutionaries whose one mission is to facilitate the fall of the United States. Now, these signs of all these violent criminals at the White House today, this is MSNBC talking about it.
White House has put up about 100 posters of what they say are unauthorized immigrants who have been arrested for violent crimes. You can see them there. They put them up on the driveway of the White House. If you look here, that's the West Wing just at the forefront.
That's
the executive mansion itself to the left. But what's particularly noteworthy about this location is it is right directly behind the positions where TV correspondents do their hits from.
Okay, yeah. So, oh, wow, this is beautiful. So they put them there. So if the TV reporters are going to do anything outside, they've got to have these. There's no way not to have these in the background. And I'll tell you, I hope that President Trump leaves these up for his whole term, or maybe even rotates them with different ones, because there's so many. The media, I guess they'll stop doing reports outside because they don't want to show these.
Positions where TV correspondents do their hits from the White House lawn. So therefore, no matter what network you're on, that includes MSNBC, if you're doing a hit from the White House right now, those pictures will be behind you. The White House doing a briefing in about a half hour about what they're doing here.
Oh, isn't that the best? It doesn't get better than that. That goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago about the genius of President Trump when it comes to media manipulation. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you all. And if you'd like to support the program by becoming a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode on whatever platform you're listening on. And, you know, when you become a Patreon supporter, you're supporting all my content, not just the podcast, my YouTube channel and everything I do. So if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, please do. And Patreon supporters have access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, John S., Frank, Dale, David, Laura, Rob, and SF Jr. Thank you all for your support. And again, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description. All right, now here's Tom Holman. You know, this is one of the big things. Did Mexico pay for the wall? You hear liberals say that a lot. Tom Holman answers that question. Listen, this is in the White House press briefing today.
So he's clear that Mexico is not going to pay for it? Is that what you're saying?
Let's address that. Trump said Mexico won't pay for the wall. They have in a roundabout way, have they not? Putting 10,000 military on the northern and southern border, taking the action they did remain in Mexico. They didn't have to do that. They're doing it.
Wow.
Putting military on the southern border. Have moved illegal immigration to a record low. We're saving millions of dollars every day on detention, transportation, removal proceedings. We've more than made up for the cost of that wall because of the actions of Mexico. So is Mexico helping build that wall? Yeah, because we're saving so much money, millions of dollars a day, that we can afford to build that wall. So actually, yes, they're helping to build a wall.
Wow. Is Tom Holman not the best? I love this guy. I remember when he was on Fox. He was always good on Fox, but I didn't realize how good he is. He is the perfect person for this border czar job. And, you know, one of the reasons Trump picked him as the border czar is because it didn't have to go through the Senate approval process. But they, you know, the Trump administration is going hard. What happened here? They're tired of them defending these people, like going down to El Salvador and everything. So they're putting a face to everything. This is Tom Holman again talking about why he's so. This is at the White House press briefing this morning. Why he's so passionate about these issues involving the border.
The morale of ICE and Border Patrol is at all-time high because they're getting to uphold the oath they took, and they're enforcing the law. Border Patrol and the Biden administration, I met with hundreds of them. They felt like Uber drivers and tourist agents. These men and women joined the ranks of ICE and Border Patrol to enforce the law, make the community safer, and protect national security. I hear it all the time. There's a lot of people in this country who don't like me. I don't care. But when I walk through an airport, I have many people walking up to me and thank me for what I'm doing, and I'm not taking credit for anything. The success of the border and immigration enforcement is President Trump.
Wow, there you go.
And the men and women wearing that uniform.
Mm-hmm.
God bless each and every one of them. But I take a pleasure in seeing it because in 40 years of doing this job, people always want to say, why are you so emotional when you testify? Why are you so emotional on network? Because if they wore my shoes for 40 years, they'd understand why I'm emotional. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by the cartel members.
Oh, my.
And when you get to your knees and you talk to that little girl and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her, when you listen to the Lakin Riley, 17 minutes, that young lady fighting for her life, don't just think, okay, a young woman died. Think of how she died, the terror that she went through, and these children that are sexually assaulted. I stood in back of a tractor trailer and 19 dead people at my feet that baked to death. Mm. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. And so every sick person we take off the streets, especially child rapists, it makes this country much safer. Every illegal alien we arrest, public safety threat, one at a time makes this country safer.
Wow. You know what's crazy about that? Everything he said is it's tough to hear, isn't it? It's so sad what's been going on. But what the media, this is what's crazy and sick and sad about it. The media are pissed off at him. They're very angry. You know, they're covering the press conference. It's going out over their air. For some reason, they continue to support and defend these very terrible people. It makes no sense at all, does it? My name is Brian. We're going to take our first break and be back right after this break. Are you ready to transform pain into purpose? From author Sammy Dunaway comes your guide to healing what hurts most in the book, Bridge to Redemption, The Power of Forgiveness, available on Amazon. This must-read book combines real-life stories with practical tools like journaling, mindfulness, and empathy building to help you release anger, regret, and bitterness. When you read Bridge to Redemption through the lens of divine grace, you'll learn to forgive others and yourself, mend broken relationships, and find the peace you've been longing for. Whether you're carrying deep wounds or seeking a fresh start, this book is your roadmap to a lighter, freer life. It also makes a great addition to your book club. Discover how forgiveness isn't just a gift for others. It's a lifeline for you, a bridge from pain to peace, from regret to redemption. Bridge to Redemption, The Power of Forgiveness is available now on Amazon. Your journey to healing starts right now. Have you been searching for that perfect cup of coffee or tea? Your search is over, thanks to Ember and Oak Coffee. At Ember and Oak Coffee, your coffee isn't brewed until you place your order. Because freshness shouldn't be a feature, it should be a promise. And at Ember and Oak Coffee, it is. Whether you're a coffee or tea lover, or someone who loves the convenience of single-serve capsules, Ember and Oak Coffee has exactly what you're looking for. Every sip is crafted to awaken your senses, and it's all delivered right to your doorstep. And freshness is always guaranteed. And the best part, free shipping on all orders in the United States. That's right, free shipping on all U.S. orders. So why settle for average coffee and tea when you can savor the exceptional? Visit emberandoakcoffee.com today and discover what your mornings have been missing. emberandoakcoffee.com. Brewed fresh and delivered free in the United States. emberandoakcoffee.com. How would you like to unlock the full potential of mindfulness? You could learn how to do just that and more in the new book from author Jose O. Gallardo, Mastering Mindfulness Beyond Basics, available on Amazon. In this must-read and life-changing book, you'll discover advanced techniques to cultivate lasting presence, learn to build emotional resilience, and ignite your personal growth. Mastering Mindfulness Beyond Basics is your roadmap to transformation. You'll discover how to integrate mindfulness seamlessly into your daily routine, boost your productivity, and strengthen your emotional health, even if you're struggling to find the time or the motivation. There's also step-by-step guidance to enhance your productivity through mindfulness practices, improve your emotional well-being and relationships, reduce stress in real time with simple daily routines. Start your journey toward a more balanced, focused life and order your copy of Mastering Mindfulness Beyond Basics on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. It's time to unlock the power of mindfulness to transform your life. Are you looking for graphic tees that actually say something? At Dead Serious Tees on Etsy, you'll find bold designs with serious attitude, made for those just like you who don't go basic. Dead Serious Tees have everything you're looking for, from alt street style to bare bones prints, dead serious workout gear, and hot mess tanks. Everything is designed for self-expression with just the right amount of edge. Every piece is made to order, crafted with intention, creativity, and zero waste. The designs come straight from late night sketches and raw inspiration. One day it's minimalistic line work. The next, it's a neon cyberpunk explosion. No matter the mood, every tee dares you to wear it loud and unapologetically. If you're ready to ditch ordinary and embrace bold, it's time to check out Dead Serious Tees on Etsy. Graphic tees that don't apologize. Online at deadserioustees.etsy.com. That's deadserioustees.etsy.com. Dead Serious Tees. Wear your attitude.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. Make sure you follow on whatever platform you're listening to me on. Okay, so MSNBC, they just did a story where they showed all those signs at around the driveway of the White House, and they blurred out all the faces. It's amazing to me that these liberals on MSNBC and the other places, it's okay for them to go and arrest a president of the United States, Donald Trump, and a presidential candidate, but arresting illegals that are violent and rapists and murderers, or judges that help federal fugitives from justice escape, that's bad. But arresting a president, a presidential candidate, that's okay. Now, those of you out there that say tariffs don't work, everybody knows what Trump's doing here with the tariffs. And he mentioned, it's the reciprocal tariffs. He wants our tariff to be whatever their tariff is against us. So if a country has a 10% tariff on our dairy, we'll have a 10% on theirs. Okay. If it's 50, then we'll have a 50 on. That's only fair, and he's doing this to get them to reduce their tariffs and also get companies to move back to the United States. In the United States, since we are the largest economy in the world and the number one consumer economy in the world, these countries and businesses around the world need us more than we need them. There's competition for the American business. But on top of that, Trump's long-term plan with the tariffs, the import taxes, was leaked out a few weeks ago, and now he's openly talking about it. Listen.
And we're going to make a lot of money, and we're going to cut taxes for the people of this country. It'll take a little while before we do that, but we're going to be cutting taxes, and it's possible we'll do a complete tax cut, because I think the tariffs will be enough to cut all of the income tax. Now, we have a lot of debt that's been left to us, unfortunately, over many years. We'll take care of that, but the tariffs, if people only understood the tariffs, we're going to be giving people of this country a tremendous tax cut. And we're going to start with people making less than $200,000 a year.
Wow, no income tax for people making under $200,000 a year. And, married people will be even more. So that's virtually almost everybody in the country. No one has thought about taxes like Donald Trump, right? He uses Doge to weed out and expose all the wasteful spending. And now the tariffs to get rid of the income tax. And I'm going to tell you, make a little prediction. It's a long way off, but in the next presidential election, I'm not talking about the midterms. In the next presidential election, that may be the issue, right? Whether President Trump's running for a third term in 2028, or JD's got the nomination, or Marco Rubio, whoever, the next president will be a MAGA president, okay? And they're going to have 2 terms. The next MAGA candidate for president, whether it's Donald Trump or someone else, in the next presidential election, very well may be running with the number one thing on their campaign promise platform, or campaign platform, whatever it is eliminating the income tax. And, the only people that are opposed to eliminating the income tax are people that don't pay income tax, right? There's income tax and payroll tax. I have to pay both because I'm an independent business person and contractor, so I have to pay income tax and payroll tax, and it sucks, and it's a lot. But President Trump, with the big, beautiful bill with the no tax on tips and all of that, that's going to be a tax cut to people that never get tax cuts, and then eliminating the income tax. Who would be opposed to eliminating the income tax and have the countries of the world through the tariffs pay the taxes? You'd have to be nuts not to support that, right? That's amazing. That would be all. Would you want to run against that? If you were running against a MAGA candidate for president and they were running on eliminating the income tax for everyone making under $200,000, and, you know, again, married couples would probably be $400,000. That's like 98% of the country, man. 97, 98% of people. No income tax. Oh my goodness. You're sail right in the victory. How could you run against that? Exactly. Right. You know, the Democrats, oh, that's your patriotic duty and all that stuff. Well, let the countries of the world, through the benefit of being able to sell their goods to Americans, pay our taxes for us. I mean, that's a beautiful thing he's talking about, and he is serious as a heart attack with that, by the way, because we've heard it said many times by people in his administration that is his long-term primary goal with exposing everything that's going on with government waste. You know, they always tell you, I know, like when in the past, when Democrats would talk about their opposition to tax cuts, what they would say is, oh, okay, those tax cuts would be nice, but how are you going to pay for it? And what they mean is because there's so much government spending. Well, look how much is getting exposed. And what Doge has exposed with Elon is just the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg, right? We know this. Oh, this is amazing. You know, President Trump is changing everything, and it's a reset. President Trump is giving us a reset of the American way of governing and the American system, and it needs it because we're all being screwed over. Now, there was another fake news story that the media were just going nuts with, that the Trump administration deported children that were 2, 4, and 7 years old. Now, I knew that was total BS when I heard that story, and I knew what happened. And that's pretty simple. These were anchor babies. Their parents were deported. Their mother was deported. And the mother took their U.S. citizen anchor babies with them back to whatever country they're from. The little children, 2, 4, and 7, were not deported. Their parents took them. So what is the government to do? Kidnap this woman's children and, they're going to stay in America? Come on. You know, I thought Democrats were against separating parents from children. It's really an amazing thing. But Marco Rubio was on Meet the Press with this liberal idiot, and she had the liberal fake news story, and he just filleted her. Listen, this is Marco Rubio with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press.
Our audience, 3 U.S. citizen children have been deported with their mothers. Now, this is according to the Washington Post. The family's lawyer says one of them is a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer,
of course,
deported without medication or ability to contact doctors. The family's lawyers are also saying their clients were denied communication with family and legal representatives before being deported. And it's raising concerns about the issue of due process, that it's being violated.
Yes.
So let me ask you, is everyone on U.S. soil, citizens and non-citizens, entitled to due process?
Yes, of course. But let me tell you, it looks an immigration standing. The laws are very specific. If you're in this country unlawfully, you have no right to be here and you must be removed. That's what the law says. Somehow over the last 20 years, we've completely lost this notion that somehow or completely adopted this idea that, yes, we have immigration laws, but once you come into our country illegally, it triggers all kinds of rights that can keep you here indefinitely. That's why we were being flooded at the border. And we've ended that. And that's why you see a historically low number of people not just trying to cross our border, trying to cross the border into Panama, all the way down in the Darien Gap. I mean, it's been a huge help for those countries as well. On the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay.
Now, this is great. Now, he's coming in. He's going to correct this. And Kristen Welker, who is so wrapped up in waiting to talk, she's not even listening, or does she even acknowledge when he exposes this fake news story?
Well, on the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay, 3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, they can come back into the United States if there's their father or someone here who wants to assume them. But ultimately, who was deported was their mothers who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers. But it wasn't like, you guys make it sound like ICE agents kicked down the door and grabbed the 2-year-old and threw him on an airplane. That's misleading. Yeah. That's just not true.
Just to be clear, because I do want to get to the overhaul at the State Department, is it the U.S. policy to deport children, even U.S. citizens, with...
See, she's right back on the next talking point. I don't think she heard him. These kids were not deported. Their parents were, and they took them.
Their families, and I hear what you're saying, without due process. Just to be very clear there.
Well, no. Again, if someone's in this country unlawfully, illegally, that person gets deported. If that person is with a 2-year-old child or has a 2-year-old child and says, I want to take my child with me, well, then you have 2 choices. You can say, yes, of course you can take your child, whether they're a citizen or not, because it's your child. Or you can say, yes, you can go, but your child must stay behind. And then your headlines would read, U.S. holding hostage 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 7-year-old while mother deported. So the parents make that choice. I imagine those 3 U.S. citizen children have fathers here in the United States. Yeah. They can stay with their father. That's up to their family to decide where the children go. Children go with their parents. Parents decide where their children go. Right. The U.S. deported their mothers who were illegally in America.
Wow. Isn't he not awesome? Would you like to see him as a future MAGA president? What do you think? I think he would be spectacular. He is really, truly, Marco Rubio come a long way. He is absolutely amazing. He really is, and he's so quick. The only problem we have in the MAGA movement is that we have too many great people. We just have too many super good people that any number of them would be great presidents, right? We have this, and who do the Democrats have? They got nothing. They got no one and nobody. But we have an overwhelming group of talent. JD, Marco. I mean, we've got great people. Now, Joy Reid, she came out of retirement and is obsessing over DEI from her home office over the weekend. And she is really a really angry, this is not a insane person.
Apply for the 2024.
Yeah, okay, we got a commercial we got to go through first. Okay, here it is.
Each community on earth. If you take that away and try to distill us just down to white folks,
oh my goodness,
we'll be like Europe, an aging, slowly dying former empire.
Ugh.
The Roman Empire didn't survive because it didn't have enough strength in its diversity. It suppressed its diversity and it died. If the U.S. wants to be the Roman Empire, keep voting the way you're voting, y'all. Keep voting for people.
Oh, really? That's why the Roman Empire fell. I've not heard that one before. Joy Reid, everything with Joy Reid is race. She's obsessed with it. She's obsessed with white, black, all of that stuff. And you know what? She always will be. Now, I want to tell you guys about Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Another great way to support all of my content is to go to MyPillow, use our promo code Kane, and load up on the great products there. Mike Lindell's a strong supporter of all of my content. And the reason he supports me is because you support him by using my promo code Kane at checkout. Mike Lindell has this new energy drink, Rev 7. You can get a free 3-pack with my promo code Kane. It comes in 3 flavors, lemonade, blueberry, and green apple. I'm a green apple guy. It's very good. You will very much like it. It tastes great. And there's no sugar in it or caffeine, so you don't get the jitters, you don't get the crashes. And it's a brand new product that Mike Lindell has brought with it. But you can use my promo code Kane on all the specials at mypillow.com, no matter what. Pillows, slippers. Mother's Day's coming up. Buy mom a great pair of slippers. Oh, man. They even have pink slippers. They have every size from very large and wide for the big guys. They have smaller sizes for women and even children. And right now, the MyPillow My Slippers are $90 off with my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Get mom a pair of the great MyPillow slippers or the Mike Lindell cross, the My Cross that he's offering, 20% off with my promo code Kane at checkout. There's other great gifts there for mom too at mypillow.com. Just make sure to use my promo code Kane, Kane at checkout. All right, we're going to take our break and be right back. We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Lynn from Boynton. I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh, my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida. I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels, too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on. And it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next MyPillow commercial, just so you know, okay?
Okay.
Okay, just to let you know. You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her MyPillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, Kane, at checkout at MyPillow.com. If you're a homeowner or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Laporta Roofing has been in the roofing and construction business since 1984 with thousands of roof installations and thousands of satisfied customers. Did you know that in the state of Florida, you can open a roofing company and borrow someone else's license? Tom Laporta is the holder of his roofing and general contractor's licenses, not like the other companies that borrow other people's licenses. So be sure who you're dealing with. Tom Laporta and his team are honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Roofing carries all insurance, including workers' compensation on all of its employees, not just a waiver like other contractors. Laporta Roofing can handle any type of roofing job too. Residential roofing, HOAs, condominiums, and churches. If it's roofing, Laporta Roofing can do it. So call Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, or connect online at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602. Laporta Roofing, the go-to roofing company you can trust.
This is Dr. Philip Appleton. I'm a chiropractic physician. I've seen thousands and thousands of patients in my career. I've been a chiropractic physician here in Pompano Beach for 40 years. We're open 6 days a week. If you have sciatica, you have bursitis, you have tendonitis, you're tired of taking the pills, the drugs, the injections, and you heard that you have to live with it, well, there's a lot of times you don't have to live with it. I've had great success with helping people. My testimonials are marvelous with patients. They love the treatment. There's no injections. There's no medication. There's no surgery. There's none of that. It's strictly either the laser or the acupuncture I do or shockwave therapy I do. Open 6 days a week. Come in for the free consultation and be willing to look at you and help you.
Take advantage of that no-charge consultation with Dr. Appleton. Remember, appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. Television just got interesting again with a series like no other, Depth Nomads. Depth Nomads is an adventure, but it's also a journey into the unknown, both out in the world and within ourselves. In each episode, real people with unresolved emotions, past struggles, or hidden fears are dropped into wild, unfamiliar environments. There's no script and there's no formula as they face physical challenges, deep introspection, and human connection. And in the process, real, raw, life-changing transformation. Depth Nomads is about breaking the limits, facing your fears, and discovering who you truly are. Through freediving, breathtaking adventures, and powerful storytelling, Depth Nomads proves that nature has a way of stripping away the noise and revealing what truly matters. Transformation doesn't wait for the right moment. It happens when you take the leap. To learn more, visit depthnomads.com. Depth Nomads, the television series of a lifetime.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Guys, welcome back. I'm Brian, and thanks for tuning in. Okay, so I'm not going to talk too much about the Belichick interview, other than to say that I'm not going to play the clip of it either, but he did that interview with the Sunday morning show, and his girlfriend, the reporter asked Belichick where they met, and she said, "We're not going to talk about that." Well, She's no Caroline Leavitt, right? Caroline Leavitt's young, but she's very smart and always has great answers. What Belichick's young girlfriend has just done is really make people curious as to how they met. And you know what? It's going to become public. And however they met, I don't know. I've got ideas. You guys got ideas. Everyone's speculating. We don't know. But however they met, it's embarrassing for them, isn't it? Yeah, she is totally embarrassed by however they met. And you know what? We're going to find out because the internet sleuths are at work right now to find out how Belichick met this young girl. She's totally psycho. You saw how she injected herself in that interview. My goodness. I wonder if she was on her best behavior. Is that how she always is? Or is she worse than that when people aren't around and it's just her and him? And it really makes him look so weak, doesn't it? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm curious. I can't wait for the internet sleuths to find out how they met. I'm very curious. Okay, so the Black Hawk pilot, this lady DEI pilot that was flying the Black Hawk in D.C. that crashed into that passenger jet and killed all those people, we're finally getting information on it. It was all her fault. This is in the Post-Millennial. And if you're not familiar with the Post-Millennial, by the way, it's a very good conservative news website out of Canada. All right, so this is from the Post-Millennial. The pilot of the Black Hawk that collided with a passenger airplane over D.C. in January ignored instructions to change course moments before the crash took place, according to a New York Times report. She was piloting the Black Hawk and undergoing an annual flight evaluation at the time. Her co-pilot served as flight instructor. Air traffic controllers had warned the helicopter crew in the Black Hawk about a nearby passenger airline, and she and the flight instructor acknowledged the warning to the air traffic controllers, and they opted to proceed under visual separation. This is a method where pilots are allowed to continue flying in the area by using their own observations rather than adhering to instructions. The report said the Black Hawk was only 15 seconds from crossing paths with the passenger jet when the flight instructor informed the lady pilot that he believed air traffic control wanted them to turn left towards the East River bank. Turning left would have opened up more space between the helicopter and the plane, which was at an altitude of about 300 feet. She did not turn left. And all these people are dead because of her. 64 passengers were all killed on that plane. All this talk of, DEI, DEI is bad news, especially when it involves something that, has people's lives in their hands. And, when you get on an airplane, you buy a ticket, you fly on an airplane. Now, it wasn't the airplane pilot's fault. It was the helicopter pilot's fault. But when you're flying, you are literally putting your life in the hands of that person. I mean, you crash, chances are you're dead. That's it, right? In a car, when someone's driving a car, you're putting their life in their hands, but there's a greater chance of survival in a car crash than an air crash. And DEI is bad news everywhere. There's no good place for DEI. Didn't earn it. But one place that it's like the worst is flying. It just is. There's too many people's lives in the hands of a pilot to have DEI people at the controls. That's just the way it is, and one of the things that's changing with the second term of President Trump is just that people are pretty fed up with the DEI. They're sick and tired of it. They don't support it any longer. They don't feel safe with it. It's going to fade away. It will fade away. It's already fading away because Trump's running it out of these schools. But it literally gets people killed. Now, we just had Earth Day. We don't hear too much about Earth Day too much anymore, do you? And, we're far enough away from all the global warming alarmism that people are starting to track this. This is Al Gore back in 2009. So this is quite a while ago, 16 years ago. And he's telling us that if we don't take action now, Global warming is going to do all these things. Listen, 2009, Al Gore, this was in Copenhagen, Denmark.
There is a 75% chance that the entire North Polar ice cap during some of the summer months could be completely ice-free within the next 5 to 7 years.
Okay, so 5 years, that would have been 2014 or maybe even 2015 if you give him an extra year. Obviously didn't happen.
5 to 7.
Next is John Kerry.
Years.
You have sea ice, which is melting at a rate that the Arctic Ocean now increasingly is exposed. In 5 years, scientists predict we will have the first ice-free Arctic summer.
That was also in 2009. So by 2014, we were going to have all these things. None of them happened. You know, the global warming's already faded away. That's already gone. Right. It's already gone. And you know what? It's not going to come back. People don't buy it. So with the arrest of these judges, we're talking about these sanctuary officials around the country. The governor of Wisconsin, over the weekend, sent out guidelines. Listen to this. This is the governor of Wisconsin, Democrats. Now keep in mind, we have judges that have been arrested and are going to go to prison for giving sanctuary status in their courtrooms and obstructing ICE agents and everything else, right? Listen to this. This is in the Gateway Pundit. Democrats chose a hill to die on. They will defend the last violent human trafficking, illegal gangbanger escape from ICE no matter what the cost. According to documents leaked by a conservative radio host named Dan O'Donnell, a Department of Administration memo dated April 18th lays out explicit steps for Wisconsin state workers to follow when ICE agents arrive at government buildings. Instead of cooperating with federal immigration enforcement, employees are being told to stonewall, refuse to answer questions, deny access to files, and even demand agents leave if no attorney is available. Well, this is what that judge was doing, by the way, in Wisconsin. The outrageous memo directs state employees to treat federal agents like unwanted intruders rather than trusted law enforcement partners. Among the so-called guidance, this came from the governor of Wisconsin, refused to answer any questions, even about known individuals ICE is seeking, deny ICE agents access to paper files and computers, even if they present a warrant, that's illegal, block agents from entering non-public areas unless they produce a judicial warrant, demand agents sit in isolated public areas and force them to wait indefinitely while contacting attorneys, order federal agents to leave and return later if a state lawyer isn't immediately reachable. And then they have detailed instructions. Again, this is from the governor of Wisconsin to state employees. Listen to this. They have a list of instructions for state employees encountering ICE or other federal agents at the workplace. 1, stay calm and don't rush. Notify your supervisor immediately. 2, ask the agent this for their name and see their government-issued badge. Verify the agent's stated identity and agency against the information on their badge. Ask why are they at your workplace. Ask to see documents supporting their reason for being there. If they reference a judicial or administrative warrant, ask for a copy of the document to retain while you consult with your attorney. Next, tell them to have a seat in a public area, ideally a space that is separate from the rest of the office, such as an enclosed waiting room. Then they talk about calling lawyers. And then skipping down, it says not is completely capitalized with a line under it. Do not do any of the following. Do not answer questions, including when an agent asks about someone you know or presents a warrant with an individual name. Do not give the agent access to any paper files. I mean, these people are out of their minds. So even after the arrest of the judges, they're still going to offer sanctuary status. This is going to come to a head at some point, because eventually a governor or a mayor or a city council person or a police chief or a county sheriff, somebody that's a big deal, but it could be a mayor that's high profile, like Mayor Wu in Boston, who's one of the leading sanctuary city people, and someone big's going to get arrested, and it's going to be very high profile, and the left again are going to rally behind the criminal. these Democrats, a lot of them are the Soros-backed radical lunatics, and their minds are gone. These people are completely insane. They think they're doing the right thing. They think they're true action heroes is what they think. They really do. Their minds are completely gone. They are 100% brainwashed, and they're going to keep pushing on this because they don't think they've done anything wrong. They think they're the heroes of the story, but there's going to be a lot more arrest for people obstructing federal agents, in particular ICE and FBI, when it comes to apprehending these wanted fugitives for the violent illegals. It's insane to me that they're doing this, but it is going to happen. There will be a and I hope it's somebody big, like a governor or a mayor. I would love to see that, or a sheriff or police chief. That would be the greatest. But if it's a mayor, I hope it's a mayor of a major city. Because the sanctuary city idea is absurd. You do not have the right to say that your city, your courtroom, your town, whatever it is that you oversee, is a sanctuary for federal fugitives from justice. There's lots of federal crimes. Could you say that kidnappers have sanctuary in your city? No. Could you say bank robbers have sanctuary in your city? No. But with the illegals, you can say they have sanctuary? No, you cannot. And these leftist radicals never dreamed there would be accountability. But you know what? There is. Trump's back. I'm Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk.